This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett. Today we're returning to the Continental and booking a tasting with our very own firearms sommelier as we check out the weapons of John Wick 2.
I love the cut to the wide shot. I can only imagine how many takes all this took to nail.
I love that this scene's so good, we've just both gone really quiet and I'm just simply watching it now.
It's not good video, is it?
If you want a longer, deeper, extended edition of this episode, then be sure to check out our Patreon. We'll also have our first Warhammer episode with historical expert Toby Capwell hitting the Patreon very soon. But without further ado, I will throw it over to Jonathan.
The sequel, which I pretty much love just as much as the first one, although the slightly grittier vibe of the first one I think still is my preference. There's that chest that they had to painstakingly recreate. And the rifles underneath, which I don't think we saw in the first film. I think they've got all the details of the chest correct. I haven't done a side-by-side. So what do we have in there? That looks like a KSG. That will be the Kohari Arms carbine or rifle he has in one. So in theory, he retrieved that and used it and has put it back. And there's a sort of Mark 18 with a suppressor or something of that nature. I've never actually looked at this in detail. Surprising, really. Yeah. So two rifles or carbines, 12-gauge shotgun, and 4 pistols. Isn't bad going for one wooden chest. So I don't know if any eagle-eyed IMFDB users have identified what that Mark 18 looking thing is on the top there. I haven't, and I'm going to have a look after this now. I might appear in the comments of this one.
Well, it says the box contains at least one Kohari Arms CA415, so maybe he's got a pair.
Oh, okay. All right, so they're hedging their bets. Well, I am saying that is something else, but maybe that company makes a longer barreled version of the same thing with a conventional stock, but I would guess that's something else. I'm also going to guess that it's an angle and level of light resolution, effectively, that we probably can't say what it is. Someone will probably prove me wrong. If you do, go and edit IMFDB.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wick.
Ah, wonderful scene. I really wanted him to make a comeback. Love Peter Serafinowicz, and the character was such a good idea. So yeah, interestingly, he does have the option here to go back to the HKP-30, albeit that's a conventional one on the shelf. There's loads of other stuff going on here as well. So we've got Glock 17s and 34s, conventional Gen 4s by the look of it. Oh, that's like a 17L actually on the top right. I think from memory someone's already ID'd all these on IMFDB, so I won't duplicate their work. And then we've got the two he ends up with, of course, and we're starting with a TTI'd out Glock 26. So really just an upgrade on what he had before for his backup piece. I used the word boutique. You could use Gucci as well. They're leaning into it right from the off with these fancier, less realistic, let's be honest, choices by having a literal gun sommelier. so a guy that would normally be presenting you with different wine options, and that's obviously the whole shtick here, instead doing it for firearms. It was such a funny, clever, yet somehow, believable is probably the wrong word, but it didn't feel like a stretch to me. I would also love to see his Brian Butterfield character recreate this scene.
Just look at me now. I feel like a new man.
We've had some deep cuts working together, but that might be top 5.
Well, as a sometime Peter Serafinowicz fan, I have seen Brian Butterfield live. So he sat in a seat not 3 seats away from me as he was pretending to be out of puff as he went to the stage.
Saturday is treat day. For 24 hours, you can literally eat anything.
I heard a weird noise in my ear there. What was that?
That was Chris typing in chat the words, "Hoisin crispy owl."
Amazing.
Flared magwell for easier reloads, and I know you'll appreciate the custom porting.
For all of the over-the-topness of this, and there is wine in here as well, by the way, so he is also a wine sommelier. We tend to overlook that point, I think. The stuff he's saying is accurate, but it also is relevant. The flared magwell, for example, he does so many magazine changes. You absolutely want a flared, additional competition-style flared magwell, and this is a competition-style pistol. If that wasn't already evident, this has come about through Keanu Reeves' training and sporting interest in three-gun competition and pistol shooting, practical pistol shooting. So he and the director and Taran, who was in on this franchise from the first movie, as far as I know. It's just that his stuff gets more prominent over time. The custom porting reference, I mean, we've seen that he favours a compensator on his HK, albeit it doesn't seem to work because the ports were closed. Here it does, and I believe we do see the flashing from the top of the muzzle. And then there's the pure style flourishes, really, of the hole in the slide, where you can see the titanium nitride gold barrel through there. It's very cool. I enjoyed this as a follow-on primary weapon, if you like, for John. It's still a practical weapon, something that you can shoot very well, very rapidly. So it's not like they've gone so boutique that it's not realistic and you wouldn't want to rely on it. This is another John Wick location I've been to. In fact, I actually reconstructed the whole gunfight in Google Earth, I think it was, and with some photos that I took to work out where he comes in, where he comes out, and where he goes shooting people. Very, very nerdy but fun exercise. You can visit this. These are the Baths of Caracalla near Rome. They do events as well, so you could even go on a night when they're doing some sort of concert or something like this, which would be really cool to do, actually. And the catacombs, so-called catacombs, they're not actually really catacombs. Catacombs would involve dead people, are in fact under these buildings.
To be fair, they do involve dead people after the scene finishes.
Yeah, he sort of turns them into catacombs. Great fun to explore this. As a archaeology graduate and gun person and movie person, this was kind of my happy place to roam around and tread the same ground. I was secretly hoping to find a fired blank case. So he takes to this Glock very quickly over his HK. Why would he not be intimately familiar with how to run a Glock as well? That press check there was really nice. Don't approve of putting bullets in ancient monuments, needless to say. Normally, things like that little spin would have me rolling my eyes, but it just works here. The John Wick movies do that right. Even if I whinge about the later ones being a bit more chaotic and trying to beat this scene, the above ground bit and the below ground bit, you can't do better than this. The nightclub from the first one, especially the underground bit from this, I don't think can be surpassed. So that's part of the reason why I think that I like the first two so much. They're chasing him here. Those skylights are actually there. This is all real. Very simple tactic to just wait round the corner and shoot them as they come around the corner. They do all suffer from henchman syndrome, and as great as that scene is, the films always integrate the firearms with the grappling and the jiu-jitsu stuff really well, bringing weapons back in, changing things up. He's still got his pistol, which I would be a bit more worried about, frankly. I would like to disarm you before we go having a wrestling match, but easier said than done, I guess. And then he's tucking it behind the knee to slap in that magazine, which is a great, great move. Doesn't work out for him, and then we're back into the Continental. Quite lucky there that he didn't just pull the trigger, I think, because he looks like he wants to, which would have been problematic. Spoiler alert, it becomes problematic anyway. I'm not sure this scene makes geographical sense, by the way, because that courtyard is like 90% CGI on a stage, and then we crash through a window somewhere, and we're in the Continental. I don't know how that works. Unlike the catacombs scene, which mostly does work. Now, the infamous worst scene in the film should just have not included that. You could include this slowly moving through a public space scene. I think you should. The pew-pewiness. After every John Wick film, I would head straight to IMFDB and see what I'd missed. And one of the things that I didn't identify right off the bat was this 1911, which is a Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson, not the first brand you probably think of when you think of the Colt 1911. If anything, they were famous rivals back in the day. I think I saw this model at SHOT Show in 2013, which is just before this was filmed. So don't know to what extent we're looking at product placement in this film, I should say. Sometimes things are just used. Sometimes they are suggested, offered. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not saying that this is in the movie for that reason, but it was something that they were promoting at the time that I haven't heard much about since. But at the end of the day, it's a Colt 1911 pattern pistol, which, by the way, traditionally didn't run very well with suppressors. Modern suppressors with the Nielsen device spring thing to decouple them so that the barrel isn't affected negatively, get around that, and they, for a blank firing pistol that's operating on a blowback principle, essentially, doesn't really matter. And that would be the least of this scene's problems. The incredibly subdued pew pew stuff, I physically rolled my eyes in the cinema watching this. It was the only thing that I mentally criticized and moved on from, because it doesn't really matter. But for people like me, it's an eyebrow raise, and it comes up all the time. People who don't like John Wick will point to this. It's an early sign of where this franchise went in terms of super heightened realism and an almost supernatural situation where people don't pay attention to what's going on around them. Yeah, you see, we are starting to see it there. Like, okay, they're super quiet somehow. People ought to be reacting. God, I've ended up seeing the horrific groin slash twice because I went back to check something.
Super quickly, but if you are enjoying this episode, we have a longer, deeper, extended edition over on our Patreon, plus over a dozen other Director's Cut episodes. Every single patron helps keep this channel and this project alive, but whether you support us on Patreon, follow along on YouTube, I want to say thank you for your support, thank you for watching, and now I will get back to the video.
7-round capacity.
So the infamous 7-round Kimber, he didn't even give him an 8-round magazine, which he could have done. So yeah, the thing with the Kimber, I remember a lot of chat at the time from gun-interested people. There used to be a fairly prestige 1911 brand. The LAPD SWAT had their... I remember playing the SWAT games, and they featured quite prominently. Sort of custom shop Kimber 1911s were their go-to pistols with a flashlight on them, and they were well respected. I think in the competition world as well. And I'm only reporting what was sort of said at the time, but by this time, when this film came out, certainly not so much. There was a bit of scoffing, or well, not even scoffing, but kind of that's an appropriate thing to give him. Like, they've given him something that maybe in the 90s he'd have been pleased to have, but now he might not be that pleased to have, and he's only given him 7 rounds. So the speculation was that was done deliberately. I can't speak to the quality or reputation of Kimber right now, but this is what was said at the time, and I thought was interesting. Plot-wise, I think limiting his firepower like this is a great choice, but of course we end up in a bit of a gunfight, and he has to start picking up bad guys' guns, which is another great way to heighten the tension, change things up. And he has to start wasting his rounds to not get shot, basically.
Yeah, that 7 rounds for $7 million goes very quickly there.
It does go quickly, but it gives him enough. We've all done this in video games. We use what we have in order to pick up something off an enemy. He's essentially using the bad guys as a walking arsenal. You see, the curators are not going to be happy. Not only have you got blood all over everything, that bullet's got to go somewhere. That backwards, upside down shooting, not normally recommended, but if you really were a one-man army, then yeah. And the throw, I love the cut to the wide shot. I can only imagine how many takes all this took to nail.
I love that this scene's so good. We've just both gone really quiet and I'm just simply watching it now.
It's not good video, is it? But it's absolutely the case. And it's why a lot of this is actual reaction and not just me going, now here's the bit where he uses this gun to do this. Because A, it's been a while, and B, it switches my brain off. When stuff is this good, that one-handed press check is another chef's kiss moment. One of the cooler moments in Matrix Revolutions, which has its problems, is the double press check like that. Love it there. I don't know who did that first on film. That would be an interesting trivia. Answers in the comments. Who did the one-handed press check first? Back to more interesting gun casting. This is one of those, as we've said about video games like Battlefield, where they go with what's upcoming and cool on the assumption that it's maybe something that's going to be around a lot in the future. This Arsenal Strike 1, this is something else I saw at SHOT Show, the one time that I've been, as something a bit new and interesting. This is very much Bondian in how it treats guns as fashion. Certainly John Wick 2 onwards. You know, he's got that distinctive kind of carbon fiber looking frame, which is almost like the lining of a suit jacket, you know? It's been custom worked over by somebody, maybe the sommelier, don't know. And it's distinctive to his character. Nobody else in the movie, or any of the other movies, I don't think, has this pistol, if I think I'm right in saying. I'm not a huge fan of the big old gap between the dust cover and the front of the slide and the... Actually, I call that a compensator. That's his suppressor, isn't it?
Yeah, the world's tiniest yet most effective suppressor.
Although, in terms of volume, it isn't much different to some of the other tiny cylindrical ones that we see, which are usually just a straight-through tube, you know, Hollywood thing. Definitely not enough volume there to give you that pew-pew effect. It is maybe foreshadowing some of the later real-world suppressors where you can snap together modules and make something that genuinely does. Or the Maxim, is it Maxim 9 that does that, but there are also standalone suppressors that let you do that as well. This isn't that, this will be a movie prop, but it's intended to be a suppressor. It's actually what I thought about John's compensator in the first movie, something of a similar sort of form factor. If that had been a Hollywood suppressor, would have been interesting. I was probably just channeling my increasingly dim memory of this scene, where that's exactly what they do for Common's character.
I need something robust, precise.
And we're back to the sommelier. I love the idea that he's thinking this up on the fly. Now, let's pause it there. So this is Taran Tactical TR1, I think. So this setup is, well, frankly, it still holds up pretty well, but it's very much of the moment of 2016, 2-gun and 3-gun competition, which Keanu was involved with by this point. And this whole setup is geared towards that. We're told there that's an 11.5-inch barrel.
Compensated with an iron-bonded bolt carrier, Trigicon AccuPoint with 1/6 magnification.
Again, all of the stuff he's told is what's actually there. Now, naming things correctly, if there is product placement-y type, licensing type arrangements going on, there's probably an incentive to get the names right. But absolutely no problem. I've no problem with a can of Coke on a table because people drink cans of Coke off tables, so why would I have a problem if that's what's going on here? And he's staging these weapons ahead of time, making sure that they're loaded. We get a nice view of the setup there. With the double mags are interesting, but given the firepower he needs to bring to bear, clamping the mags, yeah, why not? The use of rapid semi-automatic fire was a big plus for this, I think. In the first movie, he's firing on automatic with the Kahari arms. Here, it's much more clinical. And as for the reloads, so this was great to see the reloads. I remember even on first viewing thinking, those look like extended magazines. He's reloading quicker than he needs to. And I think what's happened there is they've shot all the footage, they've got all the coverage they need. They're then editing it into an entertaining, logical sequence, as logical as they can make it. And they've either had to include more reloading than necessary, or they have deliberately included more reloading than necessary because it's damn cool. And other people aren't necessarily paying attention.
Could you recommend anything for the end of the night? Something big, bold.
Something for the end of the night, indeed. So yeah, we didn't even have this for a long time. We're very glad to get. It's a real, it's a real Benelli M4, but it's very much stock. It is not tricked out with TTI gubbins.
Festooned with TTI gubbins.
Festooned. I wouldn't say nonsense though. This is okay. It's more of a competition shotgun, perhaps. But it's the same kind of length and capacity and capability as the real thing, and the real thing has been used in actual combat as well. And just upping the ante by moving to the shotgun. That scene where he pins the guy to the floor before he single loads is incredible. And we're back to the tunnels. We get that punchier sound effect. This scene would not work without without good sound design. We can see the match saver round there up on the fore end. So when you need to make that last shot in a match and you have a round ready to just slip into the chamber, and he uses it as more of a lifesaver than a match saver. before reverting to his pistol. And of course, we have transitions to the pistol while he's moving. The whole movie, or the whole scene, I should say, the whole extended scene was written around 3-gun competition. Carbine, pistol, shotgun. He's switching between those 3 weapons in a way that a hitman typically wouldn't do. It's because he'd been doing so much training and they wanted to showcase his ability. So that scene there, where he's loading that so-called grenade launcher, well, we have one of those. This is the original flavor, classic version from the 80s. This is actually the ARWEN, the anti-riot Enfield. So it's not a grenade launcher at all. It is a riot gun. It's for shooting plastic bullets or tear gas. In fact, there was a whole suite of rounds for it. So they've obviously liked the look of it, how it works. And actually, how it works, by the way, we have a video on this on our channel at the Royal Armouries. Do check it out. But it actually ratchets the insert Philomena Kunk here.
You're right to say it looks clockwork. It's very like a clock mechanism with a ratchet inside.
Ratchet?
A ratchet.
It ratchets the round forward to obturate, fires it, and then, because it's pre-wound, throws the empty at the camera. And obviously it has multiple rounds on board.
I was already laughing about Philomena Kunk before you even said insert the clip.
I'm proud of my brain for making me say that. So make no mistake, this is a non-lethal launcher, and it's not like something like, I don't know, a 203 that can launch less lethal ammo. It is purely less lethal. There's no chamber. It cannot support the pressure even of a 40 mil. Low pressure round. So completely unrealistic weapon to use. They obviously like the look of it and the way it functioned and the visible way that it loads. But that open cylinder and the very relatively weak barrel wouldn't stand up to whatever the heck that explosive round is that he's just fired there. So a weird choice, but an interesting one at least. Well, John Wick 1 and 2, and to a lesser extent 3. I mean, they're all amazing movies. All 4 of them showcase amazing firearms, amazing action, and the wonderful Keanu Reeves. Real soft spot in my heart for the first 2. They are up in my top 10 action movies of all time. So fantastic to be able to take another run through and think and talk about the guns of John Wick.
Do enjoy your party.
Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to let us know in the comments below if you want to see us cover the rest of the John Wick franchise. As always, a massive shout out to all of our supporters over on Patreon for helping make this channel, these videos, and this project happen. Links to support the Royal Armouries will be in the description below, so be sure to check those out. But until we see each other in the next episode, thank you again for watching, for liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that good stuff. And we will see you very soon.
Somebody please get this man a gun.